Well, I want to make sure that we're spending the welfare budget on things that get people
that's
back
a slightly
into
different
work,
question.
rather than keep them.
Do you want to cut the welfare budget to spend the money elsewhere?
Well, OK, well, let's put it this way, Stig. I don't want to cut the amount of money that goes to pensioners. I do want to cut the amount of money that keeps people out of work rather than gets them into work.
Labour complained, didn't they, when they took power, of the financial black hole left them by the Conservatives. Now Keir Starmer is passing on his own black hole to Andy Burnham. The Times reports this morning how the next PM will have to find £7 billion of cuts to schools, hospitals, roads and energy projects to pay for even the relatively limited increases in defence spending. Let's talk to Labour's Baroness Smith. Jackie Smith, the Skills Minister, she also wants to talk about how young people who are missing out on support because councils don't know about them, which, we're in the realm of the welfare bill there, which is always worth discussing. Jackie, morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Can we start with the economic position that your new Prime Minister is about to face in, 20-odd days when he takes power? In order to meet the Defence Investment Plan, he's going to have to find about £5 billion from somewhere completely unfunded. That means increased cuts, increased borrowing or increased taxes. Which of the three do you think he'll go for?
Well, first of all, Stig, of course, what we've delivered in the Defence Investment Plan is a continuation of the big increases in defence spending that we've made as a government since we came into power. When we came in, that was about £54 billion a year on defence, now £80 billion. And the plan sets out how we increase that with a trajectory to 3% of our GDP in the next Parliament. And there is always, when you make these announcements, we saw it, for example, back in 2018 when the last government announced their NHS plan. There is always the requirement for there to be money found when we get round to, for example, budgets. That's not unusual. And the £4.7 billion, about £1 billion a year over the next period, will be found as a result of particularly the sort of headroom that we've been able to build into budgets because of the careful way that we've dealt with the economy.
So you won't need to find additional revenue for it. You won't need to make cuts. You won't need to increase borrowing or increase taxes because the money will just be there.
Look, we have made some quite difficult choices to redistribute, for example, capital spending in order to put in place the funding necessary to deliver the defence investment plan in the way in which we have done. And there will continue to be difficult choices to be made about how we prioritise defence. I think any Prime Minister, and I know that Andy will understand that the first responsibility of a government is to ensure the security of the country. That's what the proposals in the Defence Investment Plan do. They recognise the changing nature of warfare, the need for us to secure our country. They put in place new ways of actually going about delivering that defence, and they bring about a very, very large increase in the amount of money that we put into
But that money
defence.
currently doesn't exist, is the point.
It does. No.
The £5 billion is currently unfunded.
The vast majority of the money for the Defence Investment Plan is in place, including with some difficult decisions that have been made about how we move capital.
Well, £5 billion of the £15 billion is not funded currently. The Times is reporting today that there's another £7 billion to find to meet the dip, which will have to come from cuts. So that we're now up to £12 billion that needs to be found, and the £7 billion is going to have to come from cuts which as yet have not been agreed. That's £7 billion are going to have to be cut from other places. That's true, isn't it?
Look, that isn't a large amount of money, but let's bear in mind that the government budget every year is £1.2 trillion. So every year we're making...
So why not fund this properly? I totally agree with Jackie. I think that's such a good point. If it's 1.2 trillion, why can't you just say the Defence Investment Plan is going to be 15 billion quid? Here it is. We've got it already. That's exactly that is precisely the thing that sends people potty about this. It's not much in the context of government spending. So find the money.
The Defence Investment Plan is £200 billion, and it's
the 15 billion
big
extra
increase,
I'm talking about.
And it's a big increase in the proportion of our GDP that we're going to be spending on defence, quite rightly because of the challenge that we face. But the point I'm making here, Stig, is it is not unusual to set a trajectory for spending. I mean, it's quite unusual in terms of the scale of the resource that we're devoting rightly to defence, but it's not unusual to set out plans so that people have a clear view of the investment that the government is going to make, and then to do the detail of where that money is going to come from, at a budget.
I guess
it's not the first time that this will have happened.
I guess the point is,
I doubt it will be the last time.
But do people have any faith in this? Because you mentioned getting to 3%. We're supposed to get to 3.5% of GDP to meet our new NATO requirements by 2035. That would be an extra £25 billion a year. £25 billion a year. I think we just have to be honest, don't we, to say there is no plan in place. There is no world in which 25 billion quid a year can be found. And yet you're asked to trot this out, Jackie, and say, oh, we're on track to get to 3%. We're on track to get to 3%.
Wait a minute,
we're on track to get to 3%. No one believes you. It's not believable. It's not credible.
Well, why don't people look at our record in government? When we came into government, we were spending £54 billion a year on defence. We're now spending £80 billion a year on defence. We have found that money. We found that money because we've been careful with the way in which we've handled the economy. We've delivered some of the growth that we set out to do. That's given us the fiscal ability to be able to make that investment. That's what we will continue to do, having set out the plan to meet the new requirements of a very uncertain.
So you believe we can get to 3.5% of GDP, an extra £25 billion a year by 2035, and you expect us to believe it?
What I'm asking people to do is not to do that on the basis of faith, but to look at the record of this government so far. So the plans that we've set out, I mean, I've already talked about the increase in defence investment we've already made. We will go from 2.3% of GDP to 2.7% of GDP under these plans, with a path to get to 3% in the next Parliament. It has, I'm not saying this is not difficult. It has taken a big reprioritisation of funding within government, but look at what we have already done to live up to our
Does that reprioritisation have to include
safe?
Yeah, does that reprioritisation have to include cutting the welfare budget in future in order to do that? I think reprioritisation is a great word. Do we need to prioritise military spending over welfare spending, for example?
Look, I think it's quite possible to both invest in our military and to make sure that we shift our welfare budget to get people back into work rather than to keep them out of work.
Let's be clear about that.
Well, I think. Well, I mean, look, what we want to do is to do better than the last government, who managed to both cut defence spending and increase the welfare budget and still leave us with 1 million young people.
So you want to increase welfare spending and increase the defence budget?
No, wait a minute, Stig. I didn't say that. I definitely want to increase the defence budget, but we are already in the process of carrying out welfare reform. We're already making sure that young people are not being left without the ability to earn or learn, but are getting back into work.
But do you want to cut the spending on it?
We've already changed universal credit so that we shift the incentive from saying that you have health problems and you'll never be able to work, to being able to go into work.
I understand that, but do you want to cut...
Yes, I do want to shift money from the welfare budget into other priorities within government, and that's what we've started to do already.
So that's cutting the welfare. Can we just use the word cutting? You want to cut the welfare budget to spend the money elsewhere?
Well, I want to make sure that we're spending the welfare budget on things that get people back into work, rather than keep them.
Do you want to cut the welfare budget to spend the money elsewhere?
Okay, well, let's put it this way, Stig. I don't want to cut the amount of money that goes to pensioners. I do want to cut the amount of money that keeps people out of work rather than gets them into work.
Kemi Badenoch has been writing in the Times about women in Labour. I don't know if you've seen that today. Do you agree with the Women's Parliamentary Labour Party that Andy Burnham should guarantee that 50% of ministers should be women?
Listen, when I came into Parliament in 1997, 1 in 5 people in Parliament were women. We've made enormous progress in getting more women both into Parliament and in Labour governments into government as well. That makes a better team. That makes a better government. That's what the Women's PLP are interested in. How do we make sure that this is the most effective government that we can have? That means making sure that women are there as well. And, Kemi makes this point about, well, it should all be about a meritocracy. I agree with her. What I didn't think was that there was only one good woman for every 4 men when I came into Parliament in 1997. So it matters that you've got women in positions of power. Kemi is sort of having a go at Labour women. Fair enough. That's the political world. What we're interested in is that we have a government that looks like the British people, that represents them and does the very best job that it can.
Does that mean Burnham should say 50% of ministers should be women?
No, I think what Andy Burnham should be doing is building the very best team around him to change this country, and that means making sure that the good women within the Labour Parliamentary Party...
So not a quota in your view?
Well, there isn't a quota.
No, I'm saying but he's been asked to guarantee 50% of women ministers are women, and you're saying you don't actually agree with that.
What he's quite rightly been asked to do is to make sure that he has the best team, and that will include the brilliant women that we already have in government and others that we've got in the Parliamentary Labour Party.
You got selected as a candidate to be an MP, I think, because of an all-women shortlist. Kemi Baynott would say...
Proud of it.
Yeah, she would say that's nothing to be proud of, as you've read from her.
Well, she's wrong.
Piece.
Listen.
Why does that not take away from your achievement? That's what she would say to you.
She can. People can judge my achievement. They can judge my record in government and in the Labour Party. This is the point I was making, Stig. When I was selected to stand for Parliament, there was 1 in 5 women in Parliament. I don't think that was a meritocracy. I don't think there were 4 good men for every 1 good woman. It was a less good Parliament, and it was a less good Labour government if we hadn't had more women involved.
So
That's how you build a strong team.
So things like quotas, in that sense, things like all women shortlist, are actually a good thing to get you to the right place.
The only thing that really shifted the dial on how many women got into Parliament was Labour's action on all women shortlists.
I don't know if you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because it's not in your gift, Jackie, so you can not answer this if you'd like, but I'd like your opinion on this.
I always try and answer you, Stig, and I will do my best. Go on, fire away.
England are playing at 1 o'clock on Monday morning in the football. That's a very late finish. We're at the end of school, more or less. There's about a week or 2 weeks left. We're almost at the stage of we're watching videos in classrooms to get to the end of term. Is it okay for parents to let their children miss school on Monday so they can stay up and watch the England match?
Look, well, number one, we're not at the point where everybody is watching videos, Stig. One of the points
we're getting near to it is the point I'm making.
No. That is traducing what teachers are doing in the very tough last few weeks of the summer term.
On, Jackie,
listen. Whether or not parents, listen. I was a teacher for 11 years. Trust me. At this point in the term, you are not watching videos unless they're actually helping your class to learn. But if you're saying, is it okay for people to watch the World Cup? Parents will make their own decisions.
So can they let their kids have the day off?
All I will say is, I will be watching, but I'll be in work the next morning as well. Kids have to be in school in order to be learning, and that's what I would ask parents to reflect on.
Send your kids into school on Monday, even if they stay up.
All of us need to go into work on Monday to celebrate England's victory against Mexico.
All right, we'll be here. We'll be here on Monday morning at 6. Do not worry about that. Jackie Smith, good to speak to you.
Thank you, Stig.
That's Jackie Smith there. Baroness Smith, the Skills Minister.